I don't really know how to start this video, but I feel like I needed to make it. Like it felt like I needed to say something to kind of, I don't know. I don't know if you have heard the news. I hate to be the one to break it to you. If you haven't heard it elsewhere, it's been pouring out all over the retro gaming community. But Billy from the Game Chasers passed away due to like a really aggressive form of brain cancer. And you know, Billy and I weren't close at all, but you know, not like the Game Chaser crew and everybody, you know. But I do have some really good memories of Billy, and I feel like I feel like it's important to share them, you know, because I feel like at the end of the day, I think that like I think Billy would want to know. So just to kind of give you a little history, back in 2012 is when I started doing YouTube and started doing, you know, my review show. And I was spinning my wheels. I was just kind of figuring out what my voice was online. And, you know, within the first 2 years, you know, I was watching, I don't remember when Billy started doing the Game Chasers with Jay, when those two started it up, but I know I was a fan right away. They inspired me to go game hunting, even though I was going game hunting on my own already. The chase, so to speak, really kind of inspired me to go. So I started going everywhere and I started hunting games all over, more than I ever did before. And I watched the show pretty religiously. Every time there was an episode, I was there for a long, long time. I met Billy and Jay at MagFest in 2013, I think. And I'm pretty sure. And Billy was, you know, a really nice guy. Just really wanted to be part of the retro gaming community, really wanted to build a community. And that sense of community I really kind of got from him and from Jay and from all those guys and Retro Aware and all of those people deeply inspired me. You know, I've talked about 16-bit gems, Joey, and Stop Skeletons from Fighting, previously known as Happy Video Game Nerd, Derek Alexander, huge influences on me. But Billy was a huge influence on me too. You know, the Game Chasers. It was a pretty big deal. I would go game hunting all the time, and I even started using like a lot of their like lingo. Like even more recently, like I just went to a con and I caught somebody slipping, and I literally went up to a friend and was like, "Hey, check it out! Like I caught somebody slipping. Like I caught a vendor slipping," and that's like, that is the Game Chasers. You know, like that's their like their shtick, their thing, and it, you know, in a way, it like I hate that this is kind of like a memoriam for Game Chasers as well, because who knows? I don't know if Jay's going to continue it, or I don't know what's going to happen. But in 2014, I was gonna give up doing YouTube. I frequently battle imposter syndrome, and I frequently deal with you know, the idea that I just can't do this, and you know, even though I've done it, and even though I've been doing it, and I've been wanting to continue doing it, you know, this is a hobby for me. I don't know why I have like I'm not editing this for the record. I'm just gonna throw it up there. And by the way, if YouTube tries to pull some shit where they monetize this video, please let me know. Monetization is off for this video. I've seen that happen before where YouTube monetizes a video that you tell them, I don't want it monetized. So please, if you see an ad on this, let me know in the comments, and I'll reach out and make sure that I can do what I can to stop that, because that's unacceptable. But anyways, yeah, I was ready to throw in the towel around that time. But I kept watching Game Chasers, and I kept getting inspired, and I kept, along with all my other, videos of other content creators, and they inspired me. They made me want to keep going. So I remember I put out the Simon's Quest review, and that was like the first time that I was like, okay, I'm doing something with this. Like it feels right what I'm doing. And I put it out in October for a Halloween episode and didn't really think anything of it. But Billy, who was watching people's videos, just made a random video shouting me out. I think it was like maybe January of 2014 or something like that. It was a couple months after. So it was definitely the following year, because that was made in 2013. And that was right around the time when I really kind of felt like I was getting into a groove. And that video that he made, I will never forget, because not only was it great to see, that was like one of the first times anybody had made a video about me, and it was just incredible. Him shouting me out. I'll leave a link down below so you could see it. But I was eternally grateful to him. And the reason for that is not only did it bring a lot of new eyes on me, but it also just made me feel like I was a part of the community, part of the retro gaming community scene, which I didn't really feel, back then. And that was all Billy. That wasn't even on the Game Chasers channel. That was Billy's channel. And so I will never, ever forget the kindness of Billy for doing that for me. He didn't have to do that. He didn't owe me anything. And after that, we became really friendly. And anytime I saw him at a con, I'd give him a big bear hug. And, I considered him and Jay, I was always pretty tight with them. I always lit up anytime I saw them in person. And, Billy was a full-on retro dude. He loved retro, and he loved talking about it. And he loved talking about editing. We talked about editing a lot anytime I saw him, asked him, how the channel's going. And, there was a couple times where, I think it was maybe the following year that I went to MagFest. I can't remember which MagFest I went to, but there was this episode that they did where they were at MagFest, and they highlighted the boxed F-Zero games. It was like retail boxed within a box. So it was like factory sealed F-Zero Greatest Hits, the Majesco re-releases, in a factory sealed box. And I was like, that's crazy. That's really cool. So I ran over to Billy, and I was like, dude, I don't know if you filmed this, but this could be a good thing for the channel or whatever. And he was like, oh, let me get my camera or whatever. And we ran over, and, I shot it for him. And, my hands were shaking. I remember my hands were shaking because I was so nervous, because I was like, I wanted to impress Billy. I wanted to do a good job for the Game Chasers. I wanted to give back because Billy had done for me. And so after that, as years passed, I would still see him at cons and everything. And the last time that I saw him at a con was at Retro World Expo. And I don't remember what year it was. It was before the pandemic. I remember that. It was probably 2018 or 2019. It was after they had moved to the new location in the Connecticut Convention Center. And it was just great seeing him, as always. And I asked him, let me know if you need anything. And he was like, actually, I do. He was like, we're filming this, it was like a documentary for, I think they're called Boglins. I don't remember these things. Like, I very vaguely remember these little puppets. And Billy was a huge fan, and he was like going on and on and on about it. And I was like, okay, all right, what do you need? And he was like, I need help filming the interview, because he was interviewing the guy who like created the Boglins or whatever they are. Forgive me if they're not called Boglins. I wanted to say Moblins, but they're not Moblins because that's Zelda. So we ran over, and I set up the camera, and I helped him film it. And I don't remember if they used it or not or whatever, but like I was just happy to help Billy. Anytime he needed anything, I was there for him because he was there for me. And it's sad because a few years after the pandemic and everything and all the this channel has never been about politics, really. I've never talked about politics for the most part. And there's definitely a political divide. There has been, and this video is not about that at all. But what I will say is that Billy and I definitely believed in two very different things. And unfortunately, that came to a head where we had gotten in tiffs, fights online between each other, commenting on stuff. And he personally insulted me. And I was just shocked. Because here was this guy that now this isn't like, I'm not trying to diss Billy at all. But just hear me out. I was really taken aback because I thought that even though we may have had our disagreements, we had a past, and we had a friendship. I'm not the type of person that when I get hurt, when somebody hurts me, I'm like, we're done. Like I'm very much like, that's it. Like, I'm done with you. And so that's kind of how it went, unfortunately. That was just my reaction at the time. And, I did casually still follow the Game Chasers here and there. But I, for the most part, was done with all of them. Even though I was very nice to Jay still. Like, if I saw him at a con, I'd still say hi or whatever. But I wanted nothing to do with Billy because of what he said to me. It was really insulting. Words can hurt. And you think that you're friends with somebody and they say something to you that hurts your feelings or whatever. And, that's just, friends fight. And so but I never forgot what he did for me. And I never forgot his commitment to the retro gaming community. He was a pioneer. Him and Jay. I don't want to say that Jay wasn't part of this, because he absolutely was. But him and Jay, they had something special. They had charisma, and, they had, Billy had swagger. Anytime he walked in the room, at an after party or whatever, it was just, he had swagger. He was so confident, and he was such a, he was a braggart, but he also, he always felt like, down to earth to me anytime we had a discussion. He was very approachable, despite, I was always kind of a sheltered guy in many ways. And so I really respected that. And I respected Billy for his work ethic. And, when the Game Chasers were coming up, they had some of the slickest production values, out there. And I respected his craft. I respected the work he did. And definitely will never forget his work on the Game Chasers and his impact on me, both in YouTube and just, in general. So even though we had our differences, I do regret that we didn't get the chance to reconvene. And, if I saw him at a con, and he came up to me and he was like, hey man, how you doing? if we had words, it wouldn't be. I at the end of the day, if I saw somebody that I had a problem with, I would confront him about it for sure. I'd be like, "Why'd you do that to me?" or whatever. And because I'm not, I'm not going to BS around. I don't forget. And but I think ultimately we would have been able to repair the friendship. I'm not the type to only be friends with one side of the aisle. I do have many friends that are on the other side of the aisle. And so I really regret that we weren't able to patch things up before his passing. But I wanted to make this video to tell you how important Billy was to the retro gaming community, and how important he was to me. And yeah, so it's just it's just so I can't believe, like, it was like he was here and then he's gone and that's it, and that's life. That's life. So I think the best way to remember Billy is to remember the good times, and to remember the videos, the silliness, how ridiculous he was, how fun he was, how much of an artist he was, and to also remember how important he was to the community. And I think that this video, and I'm sure other people will be making videos, is the best way to do that. So I don't have really anything. I have ice water, or no. Now I don't drink anymore because I have Crohn's and it just jacks up my stomach. But this is water from Taco Bell, and it's the Decades Cup. So cheers to Billy. Rest easy, my friend, and hopefully in the afterlife we can get together and sort out our differences and become friends again. But my heart goes out to his family, to the Game Chasers, to anybody who knew him, and of course, the retro gaming community, who's obviously pretty beat up over this. So rest easy, Billy, and rest in peace, and my condolences to his family and friends.